Okay, quick tutorial on how to do an oil change on your W204 chassis, Mercedes-Benz C300. This should also apply, should be pretty similar for C350s or other M272 powered Mercedes-Benzes. So the first thing you're going to want to do is jack up the car and pop the hood, take off the front cover of your engine right here. Kind of covers the oil filter, the oil fill. Take that off and then go ahead and just open your dipstick a little bit to allow the crankcase to vent. And then we can go ahead and loosen the oil filter. You might need a wrench for it. Oh, there we go, got it by hand. Broke the glove, but gonna loosen that a little bit. Not gonna take it all the way off just yet. And then we're gonna go down to the bottom and drain it. We can also go ahead and pop the oil fill. Just kind of leave it dangling there so debris doesn't get in, just to let the crankcase vent. Now we'll go underneath. All right, next step is under the car. You're gonna need to undo all these 8mm screws to get the center panel off. You might need to drop the front screws of the rear panel just to get the center panel out. Yeah, we're gonna do that, and then we'll get to the oil drain plug. All right, you will have to go ahead and remove the rear under tray as well. That's gonna be a couple more 8mm, two at the back, two kind of up on the sides there. And then one, if you see the catalytic converter, there's one outboard, one inboard, two sets straddling the catalytic converters on either side. Yeah, that should be able to get that panel off. And then the oil pan is under here. All right, so here's the oil pan, and the drain plug is on the driver's side here. So this is just gonna be a 13mm. You're gonna wanna make sure you have adequate capacity ready to capture the oil that comes out. It's about 8 quarts. So just gonna loosen this up, and I'm gonna put the camera down because it's gonna come gushing out. It's gonna kind of arc over here, so I like to start keeping the drain pan close to it and then lower it down as the stream subsides. So make sure you have the oil cap slightly open, the dipstick slightly open, and it doesn't hurt to have the oil filter housing slightly open just to allow the crankcase to vent so it drains nicely. All right, we have the oil just about done draining. I'm gonna let it drip for a couple more minutes. We probably took out 9 quarts, pretty good amount. And then once this is all drained, I'll just wipe that drain plug boss clean, put the new drain plug in, then we'll start filling with fresh oil. All right, I have the new drain plug with the new copper crush washer here started. You don't need to replace the drain plug. I just get a new one with my FCP Euro package, but you should replace the crush washer every time. And Mercedes makes it pretty hard to strip this. I think there's a little insert in the oil pan, but just run it in by hand. And then you're gonna wanna torque it to 30 Newton meters is the spec. Just good and tight is probably adequate as well, but doesn't hurt when you're dealing with a crush washer to torque to spec. All right, so just as a precaution, we're gonna torque this to spec. Should be pretty tight. All right, and it actually isn't a ton of torque on this. You can feel that you're not cranking the threads down too hard. But now just give the pan a good wipe and then fill it up with your new oil. Okay, so once the oil pan is empty and all the oil's out, you're gonna wanna remove your oil filter. So this is right up here, kind of on top at the center of the M272. And should be pretty empty once your oil's all drained out. So we can go ahead and just take it out, put it on a paper towel and set it aside. And before we deal with that, we're gonna refill the oil. So I'm just gonna take this and set it there for now. And we'll get back to that in a minute. Next step, you can either refill your oil through here, or you can fill it through the normal oil fill. You can even get fancy and do a little dual oil fill through the filter housing and through the fill spout. Okay, time to replace the filter. So we're gonna be replacing the filter itself and then 3 O-rings, one big one down here and 2 little ones here and here. And the kit, it's Mon filter HU 718-5. And there's the filter, and then we're gonna be using the big O-ring and then the 2 middle-size O-rings. The 2 small ones are just for other makes and models. Yep, so I'm gonna start by just pulling off the old filter and get a pick to pull off the O-rings, and then pop the new stuff onto the housing, put it back in. All right, so the new O-rings are on, new big one down there, the new little ones up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the filter on. You'll notice 2 lines here painted on. And basically what that tells you is that you just wanna see one line to know that the filter is installed all the way. So when you push it on, you actually do kind of open up the top or bottom. So don't be afraid to be forceful pushing it down on. So there we go. And just push it down all the way until just one line is showing. And now this is ready to go back into the car. All right, so just to make sure, there's this little bevel right here, and the filter's gonna sit below that. So there's a lower O-ring, bevel, and then make sure the filter is on this boss just below that. Now this is ready to go back in the car. All right, so you can go ahead and tighten this by hand. It says 25 Newton meters on there, but hand tight's good enough. It's got a lip, so it'll positively stop when you're there. Careful not to over tighten it so you don't break the oil filter housing. And then that's it. Your oil is in, your drain plug is in. I want to make sure nothing's coming out, which it's not. And then go ahead and make sure your dipstick is back down. Make sure your oil fill cap is back on. Make sure your oil filter housing is back in. And you can go ahead and put that back on. Maybe check your oil with the dipstick once before, and then you're all set. Oil change is complete. Oh, put your under trace back on. The rear one, have that under the car. That goes first, and that has, I think, 8 total, but 2 of them are shared with the front one. Put that one on first, then put the front one on. And you'll be all set.